DJ and PK, it's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. We're joined now by Pablo Mastroeni, RSL head coach. Pablo, good morning.
Good morning, guys.
Pablo, I remember watching the World Cup years ago, and there was all this talk about Messi and how good he was, but you know, he's good at the club level. In the World Cup, he just can't score goals, and Argentina doesn't advance, and the pressure is huge, and he's just not the same. It impacts his legacy, and I guess it's just proof that if you stick with something, he wins a World Cup at the age of 35 when people thought he was past his prime, and now at 39, he's 90 minutes or 120 or some penalties away from going back-to-back, and there's no way anybody would have predicted that because they were disappointed when he was 23, 27, 31.
Right. Yeah, no, it's been a remarkable journey, you know, and I don't think there's been too many people, you know, in the history of sport that's had so much pressure. You know, I think, you know, Michael Jordan kind of put the pressure on himself, but, you know, I think when you talk about soccer and the impact of pressure, you know, I think Argentina's one claim to fame is their national team. And I think they represent a whole country. And I think when you see these guys, you know, after tough games and they're so emotional about the games, it's because they're carrying the weight of the country as well. And so for a young man, you know, when he was young to be the next Diego Maradona and then not win anything and then finally win a Copa America and then World Cup. And then now it's almost like he's playing without the pressure of doing it. Although, you know, he's missed a couple PKs, but, I mean, he's just got a huge burden to carry for not only his team, but his country. And so to see him do it at this age and more importantly, DJ, representing Major League Soccer, you know, I think he'd be the first World Cup winner, if I'm not mistaken, whilst playing in Major League Soccer, which is a remarkable feat. And so, you know, I'm cheering for him, not just because of MLS, but because you know, the last game, I was sitting in my house by myself watching this thing, and I'd spoken to my parents before, and they were telling me how they were on the FaceTime with their family in Argentina and how everyone was pumped up for this game. And so whatever, it just evoked some feelings of watching the 86 World Cup with my dad on the couch, and I just celebrated the two goals against England differently than I had in a long, long time. So I think it's going to be an exciting game and one that I'll be definitely tuned into.
Going down the line to next time around, what does Diego Luna need to do to put himself in a position to be on this team? Yeah,
you know, that's a great question, PK. You know, I think he's a young man that you know, he did a ton of marketing, you know, going into this World Cup roster reveal. And, you know, I think on the field, you can't question his effort, his quality, his desire to be a part of the team. I think it's still kind of managing some stuff off the field. And you know, since we've been back from the World Cup break, he has been a different person, a different player. And so I think oftentimes life just needs, life is the greatest teacher, you know, and if it doesn't work out, then you change behavior. And I think the stubborn ones don't want to change. The people that make it learn from every experience. And so I think that'd be a great question for Diego. But I've seen a noticeable change in his demeanor, the way he approaches training every day, not just on game days. And I think that will put him in a great position for the next World Cup.
All of this World Cup soccer has sidelined to MLS, and you are back at it now. The Burnley game, you win 4-1, but if anybody thought you were going to be in there laughing and high-fiving, they didn't know you very well. You were identifying everything that was wrong, and 3 straight road games, 9 points looming. I mean, third place feels good, but I guess 3 bad results would change everything in a heartbeat, and you got to go out on the road. So is that why you threw down the gauntlet? Because I think some fans were confused that there wasn't more joy with a 4-1 win over Burnley.
Yeah, no, I think, again, the guys have been playing top level, right? We played against Nashville, had a really good performance, went to Minnesota, had a really good performance, Burnley. But again, DJ, I think, and the video I've prepared for tomorrow, our recap, shows just moments in games. I have it paused, and we have a Burnley player with the ball, and there's 2 guys open in the middle of the field. Our back line's occupied by 1 guy. Our shape is a bit disconnected. And I say, like, and I'll play the clip on, and we end up getting a throw-in from it. But like I always talk about, it's a game of moments. It's almost like sliding doors. What happens now if that guy in the middle of the field is Bawanga? What happens if that guy in the middle of the field is Son? We're not celebrating this. You see what I'm saying? So we're always trying to improve, right? And so I think that's the whole thing is like fans need to celebrate wins. That's great. Coaches never celebrate wins. What they do is they release the pressure that exists for the next game. And so, and the other part too is if we want to be serious about, being a top team in the West, the fundamentals from the individual, but more importantly, the fundamentals of our tactics, our game model, the way we want to play have to be so keyed in. And so not losing an opportunity to teach whilst the spirits are high is really, really important from a coaching perspective. When you're losing games, it's not the time to teach because no one's receiving it. Everyone's in self-preservation mode. So I just felt like it was a good opportunity to say, hey, listen, there's a lot of great stuff that happened this game. However, we're going 3 on the road. This stuff's any moment can change the way the game goes. And then we're in here afterwards going, everyone's upset, everyone's throwing things around and everyone's heads down. And I'm saying now is the time we can fix that future moment that does not look good for us.
Well, that sounds like a principle we've heard from other coaches. Hammer them hard when you win, build them up when you lose. Is that kind of what you're saying?
Yeah. I think it's more about their ability to receive information. I think it's only natural as human beings when you lose, you want to blame. And the one thing I will say about our group this year and why it's a special group is because everyone, they're unbelievable students of the game and they're honest people with great character. And so it's not like I'm really concerned that they'll blame. I just feel like as a human being, when you're in a good way and you get hit with a little bit of like, some constructive criticism, it's also humbling as well. And I think to be a top team, you got to know that what people are saying about you outside, the media, the fans, whatever, you're never as good as what they say, and you're never as bad as what they say. You're somewhere in between. And so I think it's a good opportunity to kind of to set expectations like, listen, we need to improve every game, whether we win 4-1 or not. Because we know, and I always say this after games, is that soccer is a game of moments. And if on that day, those moments went our way. But I'm going to show the group 5 or 6 instances where if the universe decided that instead of the ball going here, it goes there, we're not in a good shape to be able to deal with that moment the right way. And now we could be on the wrong side of a scoreline.
You gave up 1 goal to Burnley. And I looked at your reaction, and you seemed irritated with a player who was out near midfield. And then an assistant got up and was waving his arms, and he was definitely mad at that player. And the player kind of shrugged like, what do you want from me? But then I also noticed the player didn't want to run over to the sideline and engage with you two about this. Like, I think I'm going to stay over here 40 yards away and let them be mad. And then you got asked about it in the postgame. And a post-game, the answer seemed to relate to a totally different player. So I don't know if I missed something, or I don't know if that just goes to, hey, these free-flowing sports are interconnected, and player A impacts player B, and player B impacts player C, and the ankle bone's connected to the knee bone, and it all comes together. What happened on the 1 goal that irritated everybody?
Well, again, I think it's these moments, right, DJ? And again, if you would have said if we lost the ball, and they didn't score, you wouldn't really show that on the video, right? It's a kind of a moot. What are you going to get out of that, right? But what I want to show and what encapsulates moments of teaching are the results, right? So if we lose the ball, and there's this understood rule in soccer that if you lose the ball, you are the first one to fight to get it back, right? So it's not only a tactic or, it's also a mentality, and it's also about team, right? So it doesn't matter who loses the ball, because if you'll notice if a defender loses the ball or a midfielder loses the ball, they will bust their tail to get after it because they feel accountable to the team. Oftentimes attacking players, because they're in positions of creativity and these kind of things, they say, oh, those guys will do it. And I think my message tomorrow is going to be, if we're going to do this, we need all 11. We need to attack with 11, and we need to defend with 11. There is no one that's exempt of doing anything on their own, right? So I think that's the frustrating part. It's not so much that the goal wouldn't have happened. It's the visual that it gives that, hey, we're in this together, man. We're not these other teams that can rely on one or two guys. We're just not. And so, and for the most part, we've done a really good job. So again, I think it's like a great teaching opportunity, given that we've had all this break and some of those things that you don't hit on because you haven't had a lot of games, kind of slide under the rug. And if you let it keep going, then it becomes a thing. And so for me, it's really nipping it in the butt and saying, hey, listen, everyone is, whoever, and I always say this to the group as well, is like whoever has the ball and whoever's in possession of the ball is responsible for the next decision for the team, right? So good decision, the team wins. Bad decision, the team suffers. But now you have to be the first one to put out that fire so we all don't sit here and go, oh, we're going to just work for one player. So I think that's a really important aspect of who we are and to make sure that we set expectations tomorrow.
You spoke of your parents. You still have most of your extended family living down there in Argentina?
Yeah, most of my extended family is still down there. Yeah, it's and the way they talk about the World Cup is different than any conversation you'd have with anyone in the States about the World Cup. I mean, these guys, they literally plan. They literally plan the day of the game like as if it was a wedding. They're like, all right, we're going to have the barbecue at said time. Everyone's going to come over. The tables are all set up. The pig is roasting on the barbecue in the back. I mean, it's like a Super Bowl event every weekend. I think that's a good way of explaining it. It's not just a party like, hey, come over and we'll watch the game. It's not like that at all. So they get so excited, and it's just, it's fun for me to see, to hear my dad kind of relive those moments he had as a kid. The 78 World Cup for him was something that he talks about all the time, is one where Diego Maradona was on the cusp and they ended up winning it in Argentina. And he talks about it. And when he talks about it, it's just, it elicits such passion in his voice. And so talking to him before the game the other day, it was kind of bringing me back when I watched my first World Cup in 86 with him. And I think that was really the moment that I understood that soccer was more than just a game. It was a way of life. It brought family together. It was a celebration of all things that are great.
Sweet.
Is there any way to take a team, in your case MLS, but whatever, and go on a trip so that they experience that? Mm-hmm. I mean, you take the team to Portugal, and I've heard about that trip. I don't know, but maybe the players are so isolated, I don't know they feel the culture. Because when everything's important and when everything's more important, then all these details you're trying to coach, maybe they realize, well, those are more important. Now, those are places where, if you lose the ball and you don't react, you will hear about it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. I think it's kind of hard, I think, once you're a professional team, because I think you're always thinking that the way we do things is not only different, but sometimes better. I mean, I think there's a cognitive bias that goes into that. I think what changed my perspective of the game was going to Argentina when I was 15 years old. I was a sophomore at T-Bird, PK. And I got this opportunity to go train with one of the best developmental clubs down in Argentina. And, one of the things that I came back with, and because I was the stud of my team, or one of the studs anyways, of my youth club, and I always got the ball. The coach always made the game kind of rotate through me, and my teammates spoke highly of me, and all these kind of things. And then you go to Argentina, and they were busing all these players from rural areas. So there'd be like 5 buses, and it'd be a tryout. And a lot of these players were poor and had sandals on their feet, and they used laces to wrap the sandals around their ankles. And I just remember asking my dad if we can go buy some of these guys some shoes. Like, I just felt like I didn't realize how bad they needed soccer. Not that they love soccer, they just needed soccer to change the socioeconomic levels of their families and get them out of poverty. And so, and then not to mention when I got on the field, they'd never pass me the ball, and they called me the Yankee. Don't give the Yankee the ball, they kept saying. And so then I just came back to the States with a different type of appreciation for the game and how fortunate I was to have the things I had. But it also, I remember coming back and my teammates would say, "You're different, man. I don't know what it is about you. You're just different. You're playing different." And it was that experience, DJ, that really changed my life. It wasn't someone telling me that I should be grateful. It's going down there and seeing what it looks like, and how many, these kids just getting bussed in for a tryout, and then whatever, 99% of them go back, and they might keep the one guy, and so it's a dog-eat-dog world down there, and that's why when you watch the Argentinian national team, there is not one moment, not one tackle, not one loose ball that isn't contested like it was life or death.
What was their skill level compared to yours, or your skill level compared to them?
I think I was somewhere in the middle, PK. I was technical enough, but again, I think what they had over me was the hunger, the mentality, and I didn't have that. I was like, I was in terms of how we think about things, I was fed with a silver spoon, and
maybe you took it for granted.
Wasn't. Exactly. So I came back a different player, having experienced that for myself.
Cool.
But it would be really hard. You could experience here, but it would be really hard. And I had an assistant basketball coach once. He played in college, and then he played overseas for a year, and then he came back and he was a coach. So he's a decade deep into being an assistant coach. And I asked him, what was it like playing basketball? He played in Uruguay. So what was it like there? And he said, the number one thing I learned in that year is that carpeting is a luxury.
Exactly right. There is no carpet in South America.
And there's
yeah.
So, hey, we walk into places, there's carpeting, we don't even think about it.
It's incredible, the luxuries we have. Yeah, you're absolutely right. There is no carpet in South America.
A few years ago, I recarpeted my house. I didn't realize, man, how lucky I was.
Yeah, seriously.
You were a king, PK. You're a king.
Yeah. My wife didn't like the carpet. I said, let's have new carpet. I'm going to go home and kiss the carpet.
All right, Pablo. Good luck. LAFC, Portland, St. Louis, 3 road games in a row. You're in third place right now. 9 points is a lot. It could change in any direction. We'll see how it goes, and look forward to talking to you down the road.
Thanks a lot, guys.
Okay.
Take care.
There's Pablo Mastroeni, RSL head coach. DJ PK, when we come back, everything you missed in this show. By the way, he delivered, right? The stuff he says, it's going to apply across sports, whatever your sport is.
Oh, yeah, he's a phenomenal interview every time. I love when he gets going on that stuff.
The response, if you play any team sport, the way he talks about the responsibility of the teammates, and that was straight out
of the
of
Argentine situation where he comes back. Yeah. That's life.
And that was straight out of Jerry Sloan there, that he would just crack on. I know, right? He would just crack on them after a win. In the media. So I got back to him. Not
well, that's why when you have the occasional good show, I usually come at you hard.
See? DJ and PK. That's why I don't want to have more good shows. DJ and PK, when we come back, everything you missed in this mediocre show. Next, stay with us.
3, 2, 1. This is Scotty G and Coach Tim LeCoq.
Shehan Jayaraj, CBS Sports, joining us.
All the guys that came through, we were crazy impressed with the players. Anything you gleaned that maybe surprised you or took note of from those days?
There was a level of confidence from everybody, honestly, that felt a little different. And maybe it's just, sort of naivete with the way that rosters are these days and feeling like, man, we got to fill in some holes and all this sort of stuff. But, when I talked to some of the middle class and even lower middle class teams, there were some coaches that honestly spoke a lot more confidently about their rosters. I think that the depth of the conference is going to be really interesting this year. And, obviously we've had it in the conversation of Texas Tech schedule, of BYU schedule, things like that. But kind of think that the middle to lower middle class of the Big 12 might be a little better than we expected.
Catch Scotty G and Coach weekdays from 10 to 2, presented by Mountain Land Supply on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Slack and Ready headlines brought to you by Trajan Wealth. Call Trajan Wealth today, your local trusted financial fiduciary. Call them at 1-855-TRAJAN1 or visit their website at TrajanWealth.com. It's a slow time in sports right now, PK. The Summer League is coming to a close. We have a World Cup final Saturday. We got the Open Championship on. The headline today, a couple guys going very low in the Open Championship. 62s for Lucas Herbert and Sam Burns, which has put Herbert at 8 under. He's got a 2-shot lead over Cameron Young and Jackson Suber. And Sam Burns is at 5 under, which is all alone in 4th place right now. But guys are going to be golfing for a few more hours.
Well, I want Sam Burns to win.
I bet you do. You picked him. Why'd you pick Sam Burns? What'd you like about him? What caught your eye? Why Sam Burns now?
Well, you've been playing good golf.
Okay, there's
Basic. Nothing fancy about it.
Lots of guys have been playing good golf, though. He still stood out.
I know.
You got to pick somebody.
Yeah. I mean, he's been playing good golf. He's 29 years old, starting to think, okay, maybe he's coming to his own type of thing.
Yep.
Had some experience, tough loss, that type of thing. It's the axiom, just keep trying, and eventually the door will open. The last thing you want to do is quit.
To back up what you're saying, PK, 21 putts today for Sam Burns. That is a record low. Like that.
Well, on 18, he didn't even putt. He holed out from the trap.
Yeah, exactly. So when you don't have to.
Yeah, 21 putts.
Over 18 holes, that's elite.
Usually that's about the 6th hole.
That's
okay,
not true.
That's not true at all.
No,
but
it's not.
It can be.
Very self-deprecating. Can be, but it is not.
I once saw Jake Scott hole out from the trap on the fly.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Nice.
We were in Las Vegas for conference basketball, and so we went out, and he popped it in from the trap on the fly.
Wow. Just happy to get out of the trap.
Yeah, and I was standing there, watch that thing, right in.
As far as the Summer League, the Jazz wrap it up. They play Portland tonight at 8:30. Your last chance to see it. David Locke was on at 8:30. You can get that conversation wherever you get your podcasts. And he's not a big fan of Summer League or reading anything into Summer League.
I don't think it can be totally dismissed, though. But you're not going to make wholesale evaluations and assumptions and all. My thing in just watching Darren Peterson with a closer eye than I did before, although I thought that there was a chance the Jazz could draft him, obviously. So I had that. I've said this. I had the Wooden Award. So they send you a list in the preseason, and then they narrow it down, and then they give you the final. Mm-hmm. And obviously, he would have been on all 3 lists. So when I really hone in on the second half because the list is narrowed then. And I want to make sure that I owe it to the award people that I'm not just doing it without caring. And so you do watch them play, and plus they're playing BYU, and it's in the conference, so that makes it easier. But it was different, definitely, in the Summer League, watching him, knowing that he's going to be a member of the Jazz. And I believe he could be the best creator on this team, and he should, if that matters to you statistically wise, he should lead the team in assists. Maybe not this year because I'm going to allow some grace period, although the judgment on the grace period is going to be much harder since he's number 2 in the draft, and I believe they would have drafted him number 1 if they had the opportunity. I think he has that ability to create, and when you got the amount of shooters that this team is going to have, you need a creator. And that's going to draw attention. And if you don't help off of him, well, he'll just take it and dunk on your face.
We saw that. I do think there's value, especially for the rookies. The game is different. The rules are different. The three-point line is different. The spacing is different. So run the offense against guys who are bigger, older. Get a taste for it. And it's only a taste. And the bar gets raised so much higher when you get to the regular season. It gets raised again when you get to the playoffs. But give them at least a taste of playing under these rules, and this is what you have to work on. So
I think every day is valuable in terms of when you're working out.
Will Hardy right now would be screaming, "Preach, PK!"
Yeah. And you have to attack the day. And it sounds so cliche, I understand that, but there's got to be a specific purpose. It would be like, I could relate it to the casual golfer, which we all are to an extent. I'm a little bit more than that. But if you go to the range and just start mindlessly hitting balls, that's a waste of time.
No, there's got to be something.
Right.
Right?
Yes, you have to be working on something, one thing or another, whatever it might be. I believe it's the same thing when you go to the gym, the workout room, the weight room, whatever it is, you have to be working with an intent to improve whatever it is that you're looking for. And if it's just conditioning, all right, fine, just conditioning.
That has to be good, so
Yes.
it can't be. I mean, that is something you absolutely have to work on. I think the easy comparison is shooting. Even when you're hitting the ball well, just that feeling of this is what it feels like. This is the tempo. This is, how my weight's distributed. This is how I line up. How is that any different than a shooter? It's like Steph Curry, if you go to a Jazz game and you see him warming up before a game, he didn't stop just because he made a few. He's got a routine. And he's got a feeling, and it works for him, and you get so many reps, and it gets you in a groove, and it gets you in a mindset. And for other guys, it exhausts them. Jeff Hornacek used to say, I went out and got up a bazillion shots. I had no energy during the game. He said, I played too many minutes and too many games. I can't wear myself out.
Well, yeah, he's a veteran at that point and understands those things more at the complex level. I don't believe anything is just achieved because. I believe it comes through hard work.
It's an investment.
And these guys, their work is basketball. That's their job.
Right. And it has to be an investment.
Yes. And no matter what it is, you have to bust it. And I also believe if you do that and you treat that the way it's supposed to be treated, it will come back to you and you will succeed.
NFL position rankings out. Coaches, executives, scouts getting surveyed. Fred Warner is the NFL's best off-ball linebacker, according to this Inside the League survey.
What does off-ball mean versus on-ball, if there's such a thing as on-ball?
They used to use terms like strong side and weak side, so my guess is this is essentially weak side, but football's gotten so complex and there's so many games and formations. I'm not sure.
It refers to guys like in 3-4 alignments where they're playing more on the line of scrimmage. He's a middle linebacker where he's further off the line of scrimmage. That's why they call it off ball.
Well, good for Fred Warner.
Yeah. Puka Nacua rated as the fourth best wide receiver. Some fans pushing back thinking he's the best.
Well, only thing that'll get in the way of Puka Nacua is Puka Nacua.
As long as you're one of the top 4 receivers in the NFL, you're good to go.
And he has to take life seriously. You can have a good time.
Yep.
Absolutely have a good time. But
none of the...
No shenanigans.
Right. No shenanigans. Don't create these issues that get in your own way that you've got to explain
and
or
we've seen that with
for.
a bunch of receivers over the years for whatever reason.
For whatever reason, there are receivers who seem to create their own drama and their own problems and their own issues, and then we have to read quotes from them saying, I am definitely one of the best number 2 receivers in the league. I should be on a team. Well, there's a reason 32 teams don't agree with you.
Right. Don't get in the way of yourself. Maximize your talent. Go, and you do that, Puka Nacua and Fred Warner's already well on the way, but Nacua is for that matter too. He will have Nacua literally can have a Hall of Fame career.
For sure. It's right there for the taking. It's there. We've seen enough. It shouldn't shock anybody at this point if it plays out that way.
Yes.
He'll need some good fortune. You got to stay healthy and all that.
Stay healthy.
But, man,
everybody has a passing offense that's good now.
Right.
This is the NFL.
He's with a really good coach and a really good quarterback. He's in a very good situation there.
Was it one Super Bowl, Bob Greasy threw like 12 passes? That's not happening.
No, that's a different era.
Yeah.
Might have been less. The number 6 sticks in my head, but maybe that's how many completed.
6?
I don't know. It wasn't much. Yeah. The college football news: Texas Tech Galaxy Stadium, 15 years, $75 million for naming rights.
Well, the world is our galaxy. That's their motto down there.
And NIL opportunities for Texas Tech athletes.
Again,
more Moss.
Yeah, they wake up every day about this thing here. And then, I think you said this earlier. If this, what's it called, Save Sports or something, Protect College Sports, that if it doesn't go through, will these conferences just play themselves?
The SEC is reportedly readying a plan B should the Protect College Sports Act fail in Congress, which many people are predicting that it won't get through the Senate. We'll see. But it says the league would opt for self-governance, in which case it would enforce its own rules, and could opt for the members of the league to compete only against fellow league schools.
Well, then why don't they just create their own?
There's been talk about doing that. That'd be a bold, aggressive move. We'll see if they
I don't
do
mean
it.
your own SEC. I'm talking your own.
Like leave the NCAA and do your own thing?
Yeah.
Yes, that's been talked about.
So have these conferences just be that, like an AFC, NFC, some form of that. And
That very model has been talked about with the Big Ten and the SEC. Could they do it only in football? Would the other leagues push back in the other sports and all that?
Them.
I mean, I've heard all this stuff thrown out. I can't begin to tell you what they're going to do.
Don't ruin it. Enhance it. Put a commissioner. The public has accepted that this is pro sports. It must be accepted. You have no choice. These youngsters are getting paid, and in some cases, enormous amounts of money. And in some cases, it's better for you to stay because it's more financially rewarding. And that's gone now. Forget you're there. The most important purpose is academics. For some, yes. That is. But not for everybody, no. And if they should do it, that's even better. But when you got the Notre Dame running back saying, I don't need this NFL money, I'm already well off. What more? And he's not bragging. He's not taunting. He's telling you like it is. So make it the pro model. Put a commissioner. I don't think the public, there's going to be some cardigan-wearing, pipe-smoking professor who's going to be upset. But nobody cares about those people anymore.
They've moved on.
Yes.
They're cashing checks and writing checks. And
this is professional sports at the collegiate level.
And it'll be interesting. Mark Harlan said this, and I don't know if he can pull it off, but I am 100% certain he's serious about trying. And they've seen what's happened in pro sports, and the Jazz have been very good at it. I assume the Mammoth have too, although you don't have the comparisons with the Mammoth because they've only been here 2 years. But the Jazz have upped their game in the sponsorship area. I mean, more than double, more than triple, just massive. And they've done a lot of stuff. And I think one of the most visible things is like the billboards around town. So it's no longer when you buy a Jazz sponsorship, is it about the 41 nights in the arena or the 82 games on TV and on radio, which is always part of the deal they got. But now you're driving around and you see a billboard and there's a company touting itself as the official whatever of the Mammoth or the Jazz, right? And so there's other stuff like that that isn't as front-facing that is a payoff for them. And now you hear Mark talking about, hey, what they're doing, we have to do and involve our whole campus. And so if they can really drive that kind of money and say, hey, we're going to tie you into the university, in this case Utah, but other schools around the country will, if it's successful, will absolutely be doing it and maybe doing it at the same time. If you're tying in this department, this medical school, this research park like the U has, and you're using athletics as a front door and you're cutting deals sitting at football games and basketball games, man, the people squawking on campus are going to, who do, and not everyone does, but the ones who do squawk are going to have even less to squawk about.
Right.
There's going to be less they can say if they're rolling in $10, $20, $30 million deals one after another. And maybe I'm not imagining big enough right now. I can't imagine. They talk about all these patents you get in these research parks and that, and all the hundreds of millions of dollars they get from the government for research and from private donors. You hit on some of those patents, how much money is there to be made? I don't know where they're going with it, but it's super intriguing to hear them talk about. Feels like it's a ways off, and it feels like at the same time they have to make it happen as fast as possible.
I think that they have to make it as good as possible.
Yeah.
Don't screw it up because you got a good thing going, and enhance it. And don't limit it. I really think the SEC, if it just closes off, they're just a portion of the country, and people are going to be closed off by it.
Totally agree. That's why I'm really intrigued with what the Big Ten does, how big they want to get, because they're the ones who are showing the urge to go national. And maybe the next thing they do is small. It's a couple teams from the ACC. There's plenty of speculation about that, and they just go to 20 and then they adapt. But maybe they're going to 24. Speculation on one day they go to 32 and try to replicate what we've seen in the NBA and the NFL and Major League Baseball and cover the whole country. I don't know how they're going to do it. I don't know what they're going to do. I'm not sure they know yet, but it's out there and it's looming. And if this doesn't pass, maybe it happens sooner. Maybe they roll the dice and go for it. Chase Burns is not going to roll the dice and go for it. He's going to take the money that's on the table. Reds right-handed pitcher, 7 years, $105 million. He's 11-1 this season. Taking the sure thing now. I mean, he's 23 years old. We've seen plenty of young pitchers look great, and then they have arm issues. So he's locked up $105 million. 7 years. But you were reading there was pushback there. Some players think he left money on the table.
Yeah.
And then players and the union always want people to push the envelope and grow the market for the next person.
Yeah, it's like you don't want your neighbor to sell the house $200,000 below market value.
Going to drag the price down for your house. You're not interested in that.
Right.
Well, Chase is 11-1. Why would you want that kind of money? This is what Chase signed for. Here's the next pitcher.
Yeah. But, I mean, he is young enough that he can, if he continues, but just seems like these kids, they have so many arm injuries, you never know. Like there's a guy on the Red staff, Hunter Green, who just can't stay healthy, and he came in as a high-powered, hard-throwing kid, and when he's on, he's good, but
can't stay healthy.
There's been issues.
The NHL schedule is out. It starts September 29. The Mammoth Open October 1st at home against Chicago, then immediately hit the road for a 5-game road trip back east. They've got 2 Big East trips early. 13 of their first 19 games are on the road, but they will be home on New Year's Eve. Colorado Avalanche, Rice-Eccles Stadium, outdoors.
Yeah, obviously that's going to be cool when we get to that point. You know what I think? If the Jazz do that, you hear the media, oh, man, they got the toughest schedule, blah, blah, blah. I just don't see Bill Armstrong whining about a schedule.
42 at home, 42 at road.
We bleed on the ice. We'll play 82 on the road and 2 games at home.
Who was a player who went off and got, I think it was stitches. They had to stitch him up.
That was it, the whole thing.
Yeah.
Bleed on the mouth. It was one of the young guys.
Yeah.
I don't think it was Keller.
Gunther, maybe?
I think it was him.
Yeah.
I think so, but I'd have to double check.
All right, there you go. There are the headlines. That's what we've been talking about. DJ and PK, wherever you get your podcasts, listen to Pablo Mastroeni, RSL head coach, on Argentina, the World Cup, the passion there. He's got family there, and RSL starting up with a road game at LAFC Wednesday.
He's a Thunderbird guy. All of a sudden, I feel a great need to be rooting for Argentina.
You can't tell him you were rooting for Spain.
Nothing against Spain.
Well, here's the other thing. You like offense. Spain, their defense just crushes and smothers people. And then on the other hand, you got Messi, who is old and supposed to be tired, and yet they keep winning games after won 4 straight games with a goal after the 90th minute. They wait to the bitter end, and then they break your heart. In some cases, they score twice late. In most cases, once 3 times late.
I think maybe around 4 o'clock, I may go to Pablo's house and we'll celebrate.
There you go.
Couple of Chiefs.
DJ and PK, your feedback's next. Stay with us. DJ and PK, it's 97.5 KSL Sports Zone. Oh, random stat just popped up here, PK. ESPN tweeting out history for Lucas Herbert. Only 5 other men's golfers shot a 62 at a major, and of the 5, only Xander Schauffele went on to win the tourney. So actually 62, despite the fact it's a great score, probably for what you were talking about earlier in the show, it's a great round, but it's not a great score if you're trying to win the tournament.
Well, if it comes on the heels of other great rounds.
Then you can be Xander Schauffele.
You want to be
the odds.
You recruit the 5-star knowing he's going to be there for 1 year, but you still recruit him. You want the 62 even if you know you're not going to win. That puts you in position, but for golf, it's still 1,000 miles to go. And the pressure just continues to amp up and amp up. That's why we watch. And I don't expect him to be there, last man standing. But he could be.
So you never know.
You don't know. This is golf, man.
I'm just saying there's a chance.
Yeah. No, I think that it's most likely going to be Sam Burns, and then I'm going to be out of control gloating on Monday. Because I regret what happened the one time I picked Matthew Fitzpatrick, who nobody knew about. I don't care what anybody says. Mm-hmm. And I pick him. But the problem was that I went on vacation and I wasn't here Monday. So I didn't get
you didn't get the full impact.
No.
Feel like you got cheated.
Yes. And I remember we went to Hawaii. Yeah. And I remember.
Then you didn't get cheated. You won again. You just couldn't win multiple ways at the same time.
I remember I flew that Sunday, And I landed, and first thing I did was look. And I saw he won.
Time for your feedback. Spain versus Argentina, World Cup Friday and Sunday afternoon. Are you watching? Kirk says, well, sure, since I make people watch the Stanley Cup and the Super Bowl.
So someone's going to make you watch?
Yeah. You make people watch the Stanley Cup. That's a little harder. The Super Bowl and World
That's
Cup.
one day.
One day on a weekend.
Yeah.
It's easier than racing home for work for a weeknight game.
Right.
Or racing somewhere for a weeknight game.
It's much easier to watch a soccer game or obviously football. Football's a little longer in terms of the time consumed to watch the game. But I don't know that you make them. I now have a rooting interest, and I didn't an hour
this morning. When we sat down here this morning, you're like, you said I'd be way more interested in the U.S. was in it, which makes you a man of the people because I think we all know the ratings in the U.S. would probably triple or quadruple.
Of course.
If the U.S. was
I'd be
in
rooting hard.
Yeah.
But because I have it's loose, I've never met Mr. Mastroeni, but if it means something to him.
By that, you mean Pablo's dad. Right?
Yeah. Oh, no, he's Pobs to me. But his father, who is now has lived in my home state for 40 years.
Most of his life.
We're brothers.
See?
And
neither one of you were born there.
And a mile apart, no less.
True story.
Yeah.
I wonder if you walked by him in a store and had no idea. You were in line at the Jack in the Box picking up a burger right behind him. You had no idea. Tacos.
I don't get the burgers at Jack in the Box, just the Jack in the Box tacos. Right. And so now, knowing that it means so much to him and his parents and their families back in the homeland, I'm going to pull for them.
He said every World Cup game is like the Super Bowl. The whole day's planned like it's a wedding. That level of detail.
I have been in Mexico when the Mexican team was playing in the World Cup, so I can speak from that from firsthand experience. But I think we can relate even if we weren't in that situation. We know what sports means to us as Americans, and then put this on a World Cup level, which right now for the Americans seems unachievable, which is unfortunate. It would be super cool. But
it does seem like it is a long, long way away.
Yeah, we have to change the mindset, and I don't know what's going to be changed. I keep hearing, is this going to catapult?
I'm tired of that.
I know.
I'm so tired of that.
It is what it is, and you can grow, but it's never going to take over. But that's okay.
And there's four to six countries that are so far in front of you.
Yeah.
Because they're so far in front of everybody.
Right.
Despite the randomness of the sport, and it can be pretty random and crazy things happen, the four teams that were left in the semifinals were 1, 2, 3, 4 in the FIFA World Rankings. And lots of people are way into the sport complaining about the FIFA World Rankings. Like there isn't enough data. It's like college football. There's not enough data. You don't have enough people playing each other often enough to really figure it out. And there's some other teams. I mean, Germany has been there.
I think
They're
you're
not
building
now.
on the individuals.
Yeah.
Rather than the literal head-to-head.
It's definitely some of that. I see some of these bigger clubs. They've got lists out now. Like if Argentina wins, then this club will have 4 World Cup champions. But if Spain wins, then they'll have 6. Because the biggest clubs have all locked these guys up.
Right.
But MLS would have 1 if Argentina wins, as Pablo pointed out. All right, DJ and PK, that's it for us. Have a good weekend. We will talk to you again Monday morning right here on The Zone.